Hey, it's me, Curtis. Welcome to my kitchen. I've got a tomato soup for you tonight. It's so easy. There's just a few ingredients. Let's get to work. This soup is absolutely fabulous. It's just 3 ingredients and seasoning. I've got an onion, butter, and tomatoes. Now these are my gorgeous tomatoes from the summer that I've just simply froze. Washed and frozen in a plastic bag. I've allowed them to thaw out today. We're going to make our tomato soup. And then pepper, salt. Of course, I'm going to grind those up. And then oregano. That's all the seasoning you will need. Just going to slice my onion. The most difficult part of the soup may be just the prep of the onions, because what we're going to do now is add our butter and allow it to melt. Pan. Now this is an ode to my mother, who we lost a few months ago. Mama, I love you so much. She would always take a paring knife, and the way she would slice butter into a pan, it just, you know, I don't know, I'm about to cry just thinking about her, those beautiful things she did. And as a kid growing up, I didn't even, didn't give it a second thought. Now, whenever I cook, I think about the way Mom would do it. And this is one of those little loving moments of hers. Now, there's some safety in this. I don't want you doing this at home, kids especially. See how I kind of break it off before I put it in there, just so I don't cut my hand. Also, you can feel towards you get to the bottom of that. We're just going to place all this butter in the bottom there and allow it to melt. And we're going to cook our onions. My mother was so good with the paring knife. And years later, I was doing a show with Jacques Papin in Honolulu. We were doing this thing where the my mama, everyone, I love you so much, Largo. Mainland chefs were competing against the island chefs. And of course, Jacques, we elected as our captain. And one of the questions someone posed to Jacques was, on a desert island, you had to have one utensil, what would it be? And he said a paring knife. And I just thought about that as I was sharing with you my mom's story of how she loved working with a paring knife. Okay, so you see how the butter is melting, the pan is nice and hot. I'm going to lower the temperature on this just ever so slightly. And if you notice when I was slicing the onions, I just try to keep them uniform. And we're going to break all those rings. I cut it in half. I'm just going to put them all in there. And I want you to take your time here and just cook these onions thoroughly. 15, 20 minutes, that's okay. We really want the onions to cook down because this is going to be the huge part of the flavor to our soup, that butter and onion. And when we caramelize these onions, we're bringing out all that sweetness. So we'll come back when these have cooked a little longer. I'm not sure if you can hear the onions cooking over there. While they are, I'm going to show you a little trick here. Now, as I said earlier, these are tomatoes from this summer. And I've allowed them to thaw out this afternoon. And this is one of the beautiful things about frozen tomatoes. You see all that beautiful tomato nectar. This is a quick way of peeling tomatoes. You see that? After they've frozen, you can just pull those skins right off like little zippers. Look at that. I'll take all those off before we make our tomato soup, before we add them to the pot. And let me clean this mess up while we are cooking our onions. Wow, those onions, oh, they smell so good. If they only had smell-o-vision. I think I'll send Tim Cook a letter and say, hey, Tim, I love my Apple phone, my watch, my iPad, because I record all my stuff on it. Can we create smell-o-vision? Hey, well, yeah, Curtis, right. Okay, so now look how the onions, I've let them cook down. Absolutely gorgeous. And if you're not worried about your weight, go ahead and add a little more butter in there. That's fine. However, if you're like me, one stick should do it, okay? Now, we are ready for our tomatoes. And again, I'm trying not to make a mess in the house. Those of you that have been watching the National Championship, you see it's a great game tonight. 14-21, Alabama's up right now. Now look at those tomatoes. I've gone ahead and removed as many of the skins as I could. We want all that nice juice from the tomatoes in there. And I'm going to just simply pour those in. And don't worry if there's still some tomato skins left. Remember, it's a good source of fiber. You can also just take them out. We're going to let this cook, bring this to a boil, then I'm going to lower it and simmer it for about 25 to 30 minutes. So this is great. Now, when it's done, you can either puree it or just serve it chunky style. Isn't that beautiful? Let's raise this heat just a bit. And we're not going to add any seasoning until it's done. Well, I'm going to add the oregano. I take that back. I'm going to add the oregano, and then I'll check for salt and pepper before serving. And I've got about a tablespoon of dry oregano. Summertime, of course, I'll be using my fresh oregano from the garden. I look forward to showing you all the new garden that we are going to have this summer. Lisa and I, we've spent the winter, what a winter it's been, with work in the house and work in the garden. We'll come back in a few minutes after this is cooked down. We'll give it our first test for taste. Peace. Okay, I've lowered the soup and I'm allowed to simmer. Looking really nice. We'll give it a taste for test. Did I say taste for test? Yeah, test for taste. Wow, the soup is just absolutely beautiful. I'm going to serve it up because that national championship game is getting really good. Touchdowns all over the place. And I want to go watch it. I think Lisa's getting hungry. Isn't that beautiful? I did not puree this up. You could, if you want, just go ahead and puree it. However, tonight I think I want to feature those onions, those beautiful caramelized onions in there. And only thing left now to do is to take a big taste. Oh, soup is ready. It's a winter night. National championship's going. Oh, it smells so good. Salt and pepper to taste. And what we mean by that is you taste it. If it needs more salt and pepper, go ahead and add it. This seems to be perfect though. So the grilled cheese, I got to whip that up. Call Lisa, she's in the back watching PBS. And we're going to have some tomato soup, tomato basil soup. In the summertime, I'd add a little more basil. So tonight's pretty tomato and oregano soup. It's absolutely fabulous. Bon appetit. That's so good.